Hey everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience at Otafest 2016. So last year was actually my very first time at Otafest, and if you guys don't know what Otafest is, it's Calgary's second biggest geek convention, but it's basically just dedicated to Japanese culture, like anime and manga. There are other things to do with Japanese culture, but it is really surrounding anime and manga. So I love conventions, and I don't know why, but last year was the very first time that I ever went, and I really had a fun time. So I, of course, had to go again. So I still kind of feel like this Otafest virgin, and I'm still kind of weaning myself into it. Each year now, I'm sort of doing more and more and starting to feel more confident and exploring the convention and getting myself familiar with it, because the Calgary Expo is a massive convention, over 100,000 people every year. It's big, top 5 in America, in North America. I feel very comfortable there because I've been 7 times. Otafest, smaller, but I don't know, I'm still, getting in the groove of things. Otafest is smaller. It's like on average, like 8 to 10,000. This year might have been bigger. I don't have stats on it yet, but who knows? I bet it's bigger just because this year they actually held it at a proper venue. It's usually held, and it has always been held at the University of Calgary. So you go in a panel, it's in a class or like in a lecture hall or wherever. So this was way nicer than being at a university. It was actually at the TELUS Convention Center. Big convention center, really nice venue. So nice to actually, I was so impressed with the change this year. They announced it last year, and I was really looking forward to the new change because everywhere was just so much bigger and better, and I was just really happy with the change they made. So as far as guests go, Otafest usually gets like cosplayers and voice actors or anybody kind of involved in the anime manga business. They also had some YouTubers there this year. It is getting bigger. They had more guests, I believe, this year. So that was nice. There was nobody in particular that I cared about. And again, the thing with a niche festival is it's going to be niche all around. So when you go to a convention that is dedicated to basically just anime and manga and to some extent video games, they're going to get a voice actor for a particular anime, and it might not be an anime that you watch, or you don't watch it in English, or you don't even know. So it's kind of weird versus Calgary Expo. They get a lot of generic guests, like Patrick Stewart or something. So it's more, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the guests, a lot of people will go, I don't know who that is, and then a lot of people will just absolutely know, and they'll freak out. So this year, there were no guests that I wanted to see personally, but that's okay, because I enjoy just being at the convention itself, because I really enjoy the vendors. Many are the same that come to the Calgary Expo, and I'm sure lots of other expos in Western Canada, Western US, American, Canadian, wherever. And I enjoy the vendors because you can get basically any anime on Blu-ray, DVD, you can get posters, games. It's a convention. If you've been to one, you know what they sell. The only thing that I bought at Otafest this year, I only bought one thing. There are a few vendors that I actually really like. I really like going to, but there were a couple I didn't find anything. But one was a new vendor. It was called Fire and Ice Games, I believe, and I actually bought this. I don't own Mega Man X, so now I do. So as a kid, I didn't really grow up with Mega Man. I grew up with the Super Nintendo, but no Mega Man. I don't know why. I believe I rented a Mega Man game as a kid, but it's not a game that's nostalgic. It's not a game I played at friends' houses or whatever. So I've just heard so many good things, and I've just never gotten into the Mega Man series. So we played it the other night, and it was really fun. I'm really peeved that it is a password game on the Super Nintendo. That's weak, but wow, whatever. I'm not going to complain about Mega Man. This is an Otafest video. I didn't really go to a lot of panels at Otafest. I'm still really getting into the groove of things. It took me probably 3 years to truly feel comfortable with the Calgary Expo and actually be like, I got my program guide here and like actually go and like, there's things going on everywhere, and like just actually be like, okay, I'm going here, I'm going here, I'm going here. The first few years that I went to Calgary Expo, I was So besides me sort of feeling it out and still getting used to it, because conventions take a while. I know people think you can just go to them, which you can, I guess, but there's so much going on that I just have so much to take in. There was one panel I was really looking forward to, but I actually missed it. We just did not get there on time, and that's totally my fault, which was the Otafest Idol, and that's just whatever. It was the preliminaries, and I just missed it, but I really had fun with it last year, so I'm kind of sad that I didn't go to it this year, but I'll go to it next year. I will have my shit together. I did go to something that was incredibly fun, and if you go to a convention and they have this kind of event available, please go to it. These are really fun. It was the cosplay, skit, and fashion show, so it was 2 events in one. It was in a big theater. They had a stage and music and everything. So half of it was people just showing off their cosplay, their costumes, and the other half was people doing something like singing, dancing, doing some kind of skit, like acting, anything, as long as you were doing something. So it was really fun because they had different levels. They had like beginner costumes, they had intermediate, and then advanced costumes. Some of the advanced costumes were incredible, and I just really had a good time. I didn't cosplay this year. I did last year at Otafest, and I always do it at Calgary Expo. I wasn't feeling it. It was also really hot outside, and I had my Monokuma costume, like, oh my god, this is the perfect event to wear it, because people will know exactly who Monokuma is and what Danganronpa is. They even had a Danganronpa panel. It's just, I don't know, I looked at the weather and I was like, I cannot put this onesie on, like, I'm going to die. So the costume contest and the fashion show, everything, that was so fun, seeing everybody's costumes and just seeing what people did for skits. Just really fun all around. And the one thing that I like about conventions, no matter what convention you're at, but I really get the vibe, there's a very different vibe to Otafest as opposed to the Calgary Expo. And I know I compare the two, but it's the 2 big ones in Calgary, so I'm comparing, and they're the same kind of thing. There's more of a sense of closeness and I don't know if it's the proper word, but safety, I guess, where you can just be whoever you want to be at Otafest, versus the Calgary Expo is so much more generic, like your mom might go to it versus your mom is not going to Otafest unless she's into anime. So I really like the closeness aspect and the fact that you can just do whatever, and there's no judgment, and you can just be like, hey, I'm here for Pokemon, and somebody else can be like, I'm here for Bleach, or I'm here for Fairy Tail, or any other kind of anime, or whatever. You're there just to do the gaming. There's a whole area where you can just do open gaming. There's like 1 million TVs set up, and people are playing Smash Brothers, people are playing Mega Man, like, people are playing anything. It's really cool, and you can just go there and play N64, you can play PS4. They have everything set up from, like, really old consoles. People brought, like, they have people bring their Super Nintendos. There's a whole area where you can literally just play Pokemon cards or anything like that. Anything that's niche and Japanese and geeky, and you can come out and nobody cares, and it doesn't matter, because you might not have anyone that you know who likes this stuff, but when you go there, everyone likes that stuff, and it's kind of cool. And no matter what thing you're into, like if I'm like, oh, I'm really into this, and somebody else is really into that, it doesn't matter, because you're both into anime, or you're both into gaming, or you're really into just cosplay, people, whatever. And you don't have to dress up as anything to do with anime. You could dress up as 10th Doctor, or you could be Spider-Man, and it doesn't matter. You could still dress up as things that have nothing to do with Japanese culture, which there are people who are dressed up as completely random things. It doesn't matter. So that's one thing that I really give a big thumbs up to about Otafest. I really like the sense of closeness and the sense of community, I guess. I really like that, versus the Calgary Expo is so big, you kind of just feel like this one, like, small fish in the sea, versus at Otafest, it's a little bit more comfortable. The only thing is, if you go there by yourself, you'll probably still be by yourself, because, like, I'm not talking to 1 million people, but that's also just my personality. One thing I have to say that was kind of annoying, but not really like an Otafest issue, just more of a scheduling issue, is the fact that they held it on Canada Day, which is July 1st, which is a national holiday. It's the same thing as the 4th of July, so kind of weird, because it was downtown this year, so you go downtown, and of course there's no parking because there's festivals everywhere. It's just like busy. The city is just completely full of people celebrating. There's events, there's live bands. It's just like I said, just like Independence Day. It's Canada Day, so it's it was kind of weird because we were like driving down there. We're like, yeah, we'll find parking. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's a stat holiday and it's Canada Day. So everyone comes downtown and there's fireworks at night. And it was kind of just I found it was a weird weekend to hold it on. Like, it didn't matter. It was only that one day. The next day, then it doesn't matter. But I felt like it's a holiday, so it was kind of a shit show downtown. So that was the only thing that made me kind of mad, but it has nothing to do with Otafest itself. I think I mentioned this in my video last year, but it's sort of a suggestion, and I guess it's really hard with some of these smaller conventions to get the same amount of people that you get at the big conventions, I guess. But the one thing that I would throw my 2 cents is the vendors are mostly anime, manga, and there's the odd video game vendor. It would be nice to see other things. I would like, I don't know, maybe there's just no market for it because of online digital sales and just, I don't know, the fact that it's 2016, not 2006. But I think it would be really cool to see a vendor who just sold stuff to do with Japanese or Korean or just Asian music in general. And it doesn't even have to be CDs. It'd be cool if you could get somebody was there who sold, concerts on Blu-ray, or they sold posters, or anything, like any kind of merch to do with like pop music or just music in Asia. Because I feel like if you go to this convention and you're really into anime and manga, chances are you're really into J-pop or you're into K-pop. Or you're not necessarily there. I mean, I'm sure there's people who know nothing about J-pop and K-pop, but they really like music in anime, so theme songs, anything like that. And it'd be cool. There was one vendor who had just a small thing of kind of boy bands, K-pop stuff, but not really anything amazing. And I realized some of this stuff is expensive. I like Ayumi Hamazaki, and her Blu-rays, if I want to buy a concert, they're like $80. So it's hard because I feel like I don't know if there'd be a market and if it'd be worth it for a vendor to come here for this. Like, would they really make profit? I don't know. I'm just saying I would appreciate it. Like, I would be the person at the booth being like, whoa, IU posters or Girls' Generation posters or Brown Eyed Girls concert, whatever. There is a vendor there that sells video game soundtracks, which I appreciate so much. I think that's excellent. New Games Plus, they're always there. I really like them. They're awesome. They have everything. I just didn't find anything this year that I was really into, but they're a really great vendor, and they do all the different conventions in Western Canada, and I'm not sure if they go in the States, but either way, they're really great. So they have that, so it'd be neat to see that, but with Asian music. So just a suggestion. It's something I would personally like to see, and maybe, I don't know, maybe my voice speaks for 100 others. So honestly, I had a really good time at Otafest, so much so that next year I feel like I'm going full force. I'm gonna dress up. So you guys can hold me to it because I'm saying it in this video now. But I want to dress up. I want to go to way more panels. Honestly, you can host a panel there, and I think that it would be really, really fun because it's a smaller convention. I could never do that at the Calgary Expo unless I was PewDiePie or something. But you can actually host a panel if you apply, and I think it would be fun to either do a local Calgary YouTuber panel, or maybe something to do with Asian music because I love Asian music, and I believe there was not really a panel for that. There's Otafest Idol, but again, even with that, a lot of people don't sing. They sing anime songs. They don't sing J-pop and K-pop and C-pop and Mandopop and stuff. So I think it would be cool to hold a panel to discuss Asian music, or just honestly what it's like to be a female in the YouTube gaming community, or female in the gaming community, or just anything. I feel like it would be really fun to host a panel of some sort. So those are my thoughts on Otafest 2016. It's an excellent convention. Again, I'm still kind of easing into it, and I'm not as familiar as some people who've been going every year, and they just know they're whatever, they're so comfortable, but I'm still learning where things are, learning how, what to do. I feel like I'm going to take full advantage of it next year because I'm feeling more confident. This year I was walking around and I was like, okay, I've got this. So next year I'm going to be full force Otafest master. Otafest also hosts sort of a mini convention in November called Otafest Aurora. It's a winter version, so it's a little different. But I'm really curious to check that out because I haven't gone to that yet. So I feel like there's a first time for everything. And the fact that I waited till 2015 to go to Otafest makes me really sad because I feel like I've been missing out all this time, so that's dumb. But the other thing, just before I go, the other thing that Otafest really inspired me was when I'm watching the fashion show with all the different costumes and all the cosplayers. There were so many anime that I was like, I actually don't know what that is. Like, there's so many new anime. Like, I feel like so outdated. I'm like sitting here in like 1998 going like, yay. Like, I feel really outdated. You know, like one of my favorite anime ever is Love Hina, which is like early 2000s. And I've always considered that like new anime. And now I'm like, wow, that is old now. That is actually old. It made me feel like so stupid. Not stupid, but like I felt like really out of place. Like everyone's like cheering and I'm like, I don't know what that costume is at all. I don't know that character. Or I knew the anime, but I didn't know the character, or I would know nothing. I'm like, I don't even know what that anime is. Like I didn't know. And I was like, wow, I'm really out of touch with my anime. Like, I'm so up to date with every single freaking game that comes out. I know the smallest, weirdest niche game that comes out for the PlayStation Vita. And then somebody mentioned something to do with anime, and I was just like, they were like crickets. Like, I seriously. And so now I want to try and watch more anime this summer, and it's really inspired me because I love anime. I'm just the kind of person who just hasn't put the time into it because I really, really, really like anime, and there's some where I'm just like obsessed with, but I just haven't gotten into that many. And there were people there, you're like, clearly you've watched like 50, 100 in your life, and I'm sitting here and I'm just like, wow, my quota is terrible. So I've been inspired to check out some new anime, so please leave suggestions for me in the comments on which anime I should watch, because I'm just so outdated that I felt like, wow, I want to be like full force next Otafest and like actually, I don't know, be a little bit more up to date. I felt like my dad or my mom there was kind of like, wow, I don't know, I just felt like I was out of place, but I'm not out of place with my games. That's my Otafest video. I recommend it. It's an amazing convention that is slowly growing, but I like the smallness of it. It's kind of neat. So I kind of, you know, it's never going to be 100,000 people, but I think that's okay. It's nice to have a small convention like that, especially where it's just one specific thing. You come there for anime and manga and video games and anything Japanese, and it's cool also to see, even if it's only 8,000 people, or even if it's 800 people, you're like, wow, there's somebody else in the city that knows what that is. Like, someone who knows what, like, Monokuma is, or they know what Virtue's Last Reward is, or they know some really weird niche thing that only I feel like I've got to be the only one in Calgary who bought that game at EB Games. Is like, clearly not. Somebody else bought Zero Time Dilemma. Somebody else did, and they're at that convention. It's kind of nice because you're like, hey, I'm not alone. You know, because you feel like you talk to people and they only buy Call of Duty, and then I feel like somebody else bought Danganronpa, or, you know, some other strange Japanese game. Those are my thoughts of 2016 Otafest. I highly recommend it if you're in the area. You should definitely go. It's really, really fun, and I can't wait till next year, actually, and to really prep. I'm going to prep really hard, and it's going to be, I'm going to get really into it. So stay tuned for more videos. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and definitely suggest anime to me that I may not be aware of, or I am aware of. I just really got to get watching it and get my Crunchyroll Premium account in gear here. So I will see you guys next time.